Welcome to my video. I'll trust you'll find it helpful and informative. Please remember to like and subscribe. Thank you.
A network is two or more connected computers that shares resources. So most of us actually have our own little networks. If you have a laptop and you have a cell phone, and somehow your laptop and your cell phone shares resources or speak to each other, then you have successfully set up a little network. So for instance, if you have the correct software, something like WhatsApp Web, now you can sit on your machine, on your laptop, and you have your cell phone next to you, and you can actually type something on your laptop and put it as an attachment on WhatsApp directly, and you send it. Congratulations, you have established a network. Okay, so when we look at a network, normally it works like, well, it always works like this, but you can't always see it. Okay, so you will have a switch or a hub that connects everything else. Okay, so that can be your modem. Well, that's not really your modem. Your switch is often something that, think of it as your server. Also not. It's the switch is the thing that links everything else. Okay, or the hub that links everything else. And it can be in the cloud, or it can be a physical device that you're going to use. You will use a wireless router or a modem that will enable you to connect to the internet. The wireless router will just allow all the devices that you are using to make use of the modem. Okay, then you will have different things that is connected to your switch or connected to your server. So this switch that we are talking about here can be a card that is on the server. Okay, so and I actually think that's more likely. That will just be a card that resides on the server, so you don't physically see it. So the server is just your main computer. So you see it's a box, and this box has something special, which is normally the network interface card, doubling as the switch to, and that makes it possible now for all your devices, your computers, your laptop, your printer, your scanner, everything to connect. Okay, so the computers that access and use the network and shared services, we call the client. Then your main computer or your main tower, we call that the server. It holds the shared files, the programs, and I mustn't go there, and everything else that you are sharing. Man, it's getting problem. Okay, then what are the benefits? So this little figure that you have here, you're not going to be asked to draw it, okay? But you must understand the concepts that is involved. So what are the benefits of sharing resources? Well, it's safe storage space. You can have many users on one application. It's easy to share information, and it is easy to share hardware. Imagine if everybody in our office had to have their own printers. That would be crazy. Okay, so we don't have that. So I can sit on my machine in the one office. I ask it to print, and it prints in Cara's office, which is next door, going basically through the modem and all the switch. Okay, so the network interface card is the hardware that connects everything. And the network operating system is the software that allows the nodes to communicate. Okay, so once again, like with everything else, if you're going to run a network, you need to have the right hardware as well as the right software in order to do that. Okay, so how do we use computers in the workplace? It's actually a completely nonsensical slide, this, because the answer is for absolutely everything. So now let's just look at the definition. A computer is any machine or device that can compute and execute instructions given to it in the form of programs. Your little calculator is a little handheld computer. Your cell phone is a computer. Okay. So I've just given you here, because this is how it is given in the textbook, the selected application with the example next to it. So, and often I've never seen this table asked, but it is part of your short questions in the exam. So in terms of science and technology, we need to make calculations required for space science and the storage of the gathered information. Now, in the past, guys, when we talk about science and technology and the Nobel Prize was given for somebody, it was given to an individual, Marie Curie. Wonderful. She developed a way that we could look at our insights, and of course she irradiated herself in the process, and she and her husband died. But hey, they got the Nobel Prize for science and technology. These days, it's a collaborative effort. You will have a professor in America and a professor in South Africa and a professor in Kazakhstan working together on a single project, and obviously they're going to need to be connected via the internet or via computers. And I think that based on the sensitivity of what they are working on, they will not just make use of Teams and Zoom like we do, or maybe they do, I don't know. Okay. In terms of education, well, you are using it every week. Distance learning, I am not sitting here with you. Cecily's here, but he's the only one. And then I'm teaching you via making use of distance learning. And then there's the audio visual presentations. We are recording this thing, and afterwards you can go and have a look at my really bad lecture again if you want to. Okay. Or, I mean, if you really hate to making things easy for yourself, you can study the entire chapter again in the textbook. Okay. Banking, we use it every day. Internet banking, making withdrawals from ATMs, making deposits. I mean, really what the banks are trying to achieve is they are want to get us never to go to the bank. So banks more and more are becoming software companies. In terms of crime investigation, there's the CCTV and forensic science. Just think of CCTV. I watched a program actually on YouTube the other night, but it was about this guy in Auckland, New Zealand, who killed the girl that he met on a dating site. And he had all these long stories that he wanted to tell the police, but unfortunately for him, that city is full of CCTV cameras. They knew where he murdered her, when he murdered her. They saw the containers that he went to buy to get rid of the body. I mean, basically, even though his hotel door was closed, everything else was basically recorded. It was a slam and dunk case for the investigators, very easy. In terms of entertainment, well, animation, movie making, editing, music composition. These days, if you have a YouTube channel and you have a cell phone, you can be a movie producer. You get animation software that I will not dare to use, but some of you are talented and will use that. Gara has made use of some animation software, and it actually works, but hey, you still need a little bit of talent, okay? You're not the computer is not going to suddenly turn you into a singer. Even with audio tune, you are still going to sound like a dying cat. You are just going to sound less like a bad dying cat than you would have without it. But it's not going to improve it. It's not suddenly going to give you skills that you didn't have before. Advertising, creating designs, writing scripts, social networking. I mean, if you didn't know it, you do realize that Facebook and Google are advertising companies. That's where they make their money. Google do make money, the 30 Rand a month that I pay for it. If you run out of space after 15 years, but that would have been a terrible business model. No, Google is an advertising company. They know what you look at, and then they give you targeted advertising, and people are paying them for it. Same with Facebook. And that is why you don't have to worry about your privacy. It's been infringed hundreds of times before, and it will be infringed again. Because the only way to make to do targeted advertising is to share your information with the people who put out the ads. So if you're concerned about your privacy, I suggest that you get rid of all your devices. Marry an Amish girl if you are a guy, or find yourself an Amish husband if you are a woman, so that you can go and live on one of those farms that are free of technology. But then, of course, nothing is stopping your neighbor from sending a drone to spy at you. So privacy is a rumor in the world that we live with it. Okay, and then in terms of business, there's the record keeping, the accounting, and all the thousands of other things that you use computers for in the workplace. Okay, but this is the type of questions that you can expect in your short questions. Okay, that brings us to cloud computing. I've talked about the cloud a couple of times today, and you might wonder, what am I talking about? Okay, now, first thing you need to understand is that there is no cloud. Okay, it just simply means you are not seeing the data center that you use, but all your data is still stored somewhere on something. Okay, so the cloud refers to big data centers that we access via the internet. So I think that my particular Google server sits somewhere in Denmark. I picked up once. So most of the stuff that I store is in Denmark. I think my OneDrive server, which is Windows, sits somewhere in Hungary. So, hey, guys, your data is being stored somewhere. So once again, when your data is being stored somewhere and you have end-to-end encryption and all of those things, wonderful. Your end-to-end decryption is just a contract between you and your service provider that they will not share your information, because really, if it is stored somewhere, somebody can access it. Okay. Having made you scared and saying all of those things, I think cloud computing is wonderful, because I'm not really busy with any clandestine activities, and I don't come up with ideas that are so brilliant that people are going out of their way to steal it. So, how does it work? So these big data centers, we access them via the internet, and I say they are wonderful. Why? Because there's a cost saving. There's no need for physical hardware or software investments. Now, I do pay for Microsoft 365, and it's wonderful, because I remember in the old days, every time Microsoft Office did an upgrade, you'd have to go and buy new software and load it onto your machine. Not so anymore. I have the newest version of everything. Oh, there's clearly somebody around that knows about a special on tires. Okay. Then it gives you the strategic edge. You can access the latest applications at any time. I mean, listen here, guys. Here we are using Teams to do this lesson. This is technology that you would have paid for a lot of money 2-3 years ago. Okay, and now it's, well, there is a cost involved if you want the paid version, but wow, it's minimal. Okay, and it's professional. Well, you need a better lecturer for it to be professional, but it really is professional. I have very nice slides that you are looking at some device now. listening to my voice that excites you and you just want to know more about computers and stuff now, or not, who knows. Then, of course, it's high speed because there's no installed programs to slow down your machine. Okay. Backup, your data is safe even if your machine fails. Okay, because it's not on your machine, it's in the cloud. It's reliable, updates happen automatically. It's mobile, all you need to access your services is internet connectivity. If you have internet connectivity, you can get to your data. You don't have to worry about the fact that it's somewhere on another drive. Unlimited storage, because your storage capacity is available on demand. Maybe at a cost, but on demand. Collaboration, you can work in real time with remote colleagues. And you know that. I mean, if you don't like one of my slides and you want to make a change to it, you can actually make a change to it. I hope you're not doing that because your classmates are going to get annoyed with you. But yeah. Then it's quick deployment. You have full functionality in minutes. You don't have to wait for the updates because normally you've actually set your machine so that your updates work after hours while you are sleeping, and then the next morning everything is working at optimal level again. Okay, but there are some negatives to cloud computing. First thing is varying performance, where you have overuse by greedy customers that can impact you. Okay. Becoming less of an issue, really. Even 2-3 years ago, you were throttled if you used the internet after a certain time by your service providers. These days, everything really is unshaped, uncapped at the same price. Data cost is coming down. Still very expensive in South Africa, but it is coming down. Okay. Technical issues. You are affected by your server providers issues. What was it? About 2.5 weeks ago, when for about 2 hours, what was it? Facebook and everything that is linked with Facebook, Instagram went down, and even WhatsApp was also linked to Facebook. And we were all in a panic because we said, I'm not getting my information. I can't speak to my girlfriend because these days, I know about you, I still remember my wife's telephone number, and that's only because I had to learn it more than 10 years ago. But that's possibly the only telephone number I know. I don't know anybody's telephone number anymore. Further, I don't even have to dial a telephone number anymore, because if you are on WhatsApp, I can make a WhatsApp call to you any place in the world. Now, when my children were in London, my daughter and her husband, we spoke to them at least twice a week. Now, sometimes we used WhatsApp, sometimes we used Messenger, really those two. And I mean, no cost. Now, 10, 20 years ago, if you had family members overseas and you wanted to speak to them over the telephone, you'd make the call and say what you needed to say in double speed as quickly as you can, because you could afford a 10-minute call, and that was basically it. Okay. There is a security threat. You are putting your trust in a third party. That beautiful data center that I have there in the picture on the top, that data center belongs to somebody. You better trust that person. Okay. If that person is a Bond villain, we are all in serious trouble. If you haven't watched the new Bond movie, then you are not in serious trouble, but you are certainly a poorer person for not having watched it yet. Your exam is not this week, Saturday. It only starts in the week after next week. If you have time, go and watch the new Bond movie. It is absolutely brilliant. Okay. Then, internet connectivity. Good internet connectivity is a must. You know that. Even if, as we are speaking here now, some of you have already lost internet connectivity a number of times today, or your internet connectivity is dependent on the power supply by Eskom. And if you don't have good internet connectivity, you are in serious trouble. And that now, I mean, I named that the problem. The problem is not internet connectivity. The problem is that it makes our unequal society far more unequal still. I actually cannot believe that none of the political parties on this election hasn't made access to data their main campaign thing. Because I'm telling you, if you can go out there and you can promise people free data, they will vote for you. Because that is actually the one thing that all of us uses on a day-to-day basis. Lower bandwidth. Some service provider will limit your bandwidth usage, like I said, you're becoming less and less of an issue. Okay, and lack of support. You will have to deal with a call center. And when you pick up the phone, you call that call center number, you can get to speak to a guy in Ireland or India or any place in the world. And sometimes he won't understand your accent and you won't understand his, and he's sitting with that 80-20 cheat sheet in front of him. And if your problem falls outside that 80-20 cheat sheet, then you are in serious trouble. Okay, some examples of cloud computing using a search engine. I had some of this on the other slide as well, but just have a look at it again. Using a search engine like Google, using a web browser like Chrome. Okay. You need a browser, guys, to use a search engine. Explain that later, maybe even in the other slides. Using web-based infrastructure. So it says IaaS. That is infrastructure as a service. All these abbreviations that you see in these slides is important for the exam. They often give you a list of abbreviations and say, what does it mean? Using a web-based email service like Gmail. Using web-based software, and now it is software as a service like Google Docs. Using cloud storage like Windows OneDrive, or using data analytics like Facebook reports.
Thank you for watching this video to the end. If you found it valuable, please subscribe and like.